All right, here we are with Matthew, a local high school tennis player. He is going into his junior year, or is a junior now, I believe. And he's been playing a lot with Corky, been doing a lot of lessons with him, I think maybe for a few years now. And of course, Corky has the more competitive play experience side of things. And, I don't necessarily think that I have a ton to bring to the table when it comes to what I can coach or help with him. If anything, I can just give him a glimpse into the recreational side of things. So yeah, to elaborate a little bit more on what I mean by the recreational side of things, I think one thing that's really interesting to kind of see and compare between somebody that maybe has had more development as a junior tennis player, maybe somebody that's been in the tournaments or within the competitive junior scene. I think a lot of what they see there is maybe somebody that's developed weapons, or at least developed some ability to be very consistent in their foundational game. And I think it's interesting when you compare that to a recreational player, somebody that's still developing that foundation in some cases, and maybe in most. And so for myself, I am technically a 3.5. I would say I'm pushing closer into the 4.0 range, but still officially not there yet, just based on what I have done sort of in the competitive context, whether that be in league or tournament settings. But, having played with him and trying to kind of get a dot on where exactly he's at mentally, I think it's interesting to kind of discuss that consistency mindset when it comes to how to apply that into more recreational kind of playing, or at least how to apply it in your own style of game. And so, yeah, that's an ongoing conversation with him and Corky and myself even, in my own play. And so Corky's been trying to get me more into sort of a role of helping with him and just giving him a hand on his days when he's coaching, and just trying to do more in terms of be an extra hand around on the courts. Not necessarily me being any matter expert or anything, more so just kind of giving my perspective and giving my opinion on where I've been able to apply that change or apply those ideas in my own game. And so, yeah, just kind of getting our groove, getting the rhythm here. So one thing that I think you can kind of notice here is that Matthew, for being, a 16, 17-year-old kid, he can hit the ball hard. I mean, he has definitely some good pace, and I think that's something that I remember kind of being in high school. I would definitely overhit, and I wasn't playing as good as I am now, but I would still put a little bit extra in that ball, thinking that was the way to do it. And especially that conversation that Corky and I have is whether or not that is the right thing to be doing at that age or in that mindset, when it comes to experience level. I'm thinking a lot about how I was feeling about tennis when I was Matthew's age. And, being out on the court, I really was only there to hang out with friends and play a sport that I thought I was mildly good at. And even then, I really wasn't good. But the conditioning was tough, and I went through it with my friends, and that was enough to just keep me going. Ended up playing all 4 years of high school. About halfway through my kind of high school career, I ended up having to move schools and went from basically the lowest on the roster in terms of skill to the highest in terms of ability. And so I went from like 3 doubles to 2 singles in a matter of, my first 2 years to my last 2 years of high school. And that was just because the teams were just so different in terms of their abilities, how many players we had available and stuff. And so it's interesting to think about, the perspective of what it is tennis means to you while you're playing, especially thinking about it from sort of a junior's perspective. I mean, it really comes down to whether or not a parent is introducing this to you at an early age, if they're trying to get you into more of a competitive kind of mindset or style of playing, or if that's something that you develop naturally yourself and try and hone and find some sort of passion behind that, So we're just finishing up these last few points for this 11s. And man, just watching kind of how I'm hitting, it's just crazy to think that, yeah, man, my body, I've definitely changed quite a bit. I mean, I was always a bigger kid kind of back in high school, and so it was really hard for me to kind of be aware of what I would say my body, and so in particular I definitely have seen movements, just like extra movements that my body makes or has when I'm hitting ground strokes, and especially when running. That little clip earlier where you saw me running up to the net, it's just weird stuff I do with my hands or my legs or my feet or whatever. It's just super odd. I think I've lost maybe 30 pounds since that time. I was a big kid in high school, pretty wide around the waist, but yeah, so I mean, coming into a sport like this where it's very kind of sprint driven, very athletic in that sense, it's something that I've kind of have to come to terms with, just because I'm not the fastest and I'm kind of a clunky guy. Yeah, so I got to be conscious of that, especially when trying to compete with some of these guys that have just an insane level of athleticism, excuse me, on court, and they can run anything down. I try my best. I think I have a pretty long stride when it comes to, a quick sprint, but it's definitely not as good as some of these other folks, like Matthew here. But yeah, always something to improve. Got to just stay on it, grind. Maybe get some sprints into the regimen, add some stuff into the conditioning. You know how it goes. Always more. I think I'm going to let the rest of this play out here. I'm going to let you guys just watch the hitting. If you did make it this far, I really appreciate it. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. And really, when I say that, what I mean is, if you wouldn't mind engaging with this content, if there was something in here that you really appreciated, something that you really felt like, spoke to you, or even if you just wanted to make some sort of critique or criticism, all of that is appreciated. And if you want to see more content like this, then definitely subscribe. I'm trying to do my best at putting videos out that are engaging, but also at least somewhat relevant to other folks that are playing recreational tennis, whether it's analysis of our strokes, a good video quality or good angle. We want to be able to provide that to the community, and I want to be able to help. So if at any point there's something that you want from us to try and help you, let me know and I will try my best to facilitate. There's one thing in particular that somebody had asked for recently, which was more information about our racket specs, our racket information. And I'm going to be working on that pretty soon here. Going to try and do a rundown of what it is that we are hitting with, what are we playing with. I can tell you right now, I play with a Wilson Blade V8 98 16x19. And I play with a couple different strings. It's a full poly bed. I'm stringing it anywhere from 50 to 52 pounds of tension, and I'm using a T1 Black Knight in this video. That is T1 as in, I believe it is tier 1, but they've since changed to True 1. But yeah, Black Knight, you'll probably be able to see it. Oh, that was a terrible volley. Whoa, I don't even know what that was. And then there's a new string that I've been using called Gosen. I think it's Polylon, but it's like one of the cheaper polys on the market. Super cheap for reels, but it's actually a really, really high quality poly for the price that you're getting it at. It's got some really great reviews on Tennis Warehouse. And I've actually strung, I think, 6 different rackets. Oh yeah, I got a stringer, by the way. I really like stringing, and I want to do it more, and I want to learn more. But yeah, so I've strung I think 6 rackets at this point. the entire crew. I got 1 racket with it, and I got Saucy on, I think, maybe 2 or 3 of his rackets. Kevin's got 2, and Scott's got 1. Oof, that was a big forehand. Really like that one. So yeah, I will definitely be getting more information in a video soon for that. But like I said, if you appreciated it, we appreciate you. And feel free to like, comment, subscribe. And we will catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Nasty's got to take off. We hit some good balls.